And here we go again. We've got a special one for you today. The people have asked for it. We're going to deliver. It's a tour of the historic recording studio, Nashville, Tennessee, on Music Row, 27 Music Square East. This is the studio that Owen Bradley built in 1966 for Decca Records. This is the original gangsters of Nashville. These guys created the Nashville sound. They created Music Row and how we know it today. This is back in the day. He was signing Conway Twitty, Patsy Cline, the creation of what is music and pop culture, music, how we know it today. These guys are the ones that did it. We bought the building a few years ago, and we're going to give you a tour today. Boom, here we are in the recording studio. Before we get going with our tour, let's talk about what we're doing. We're trying to figure out what this property is going to be in its next life. Is it a bar? Is it a restaurant? Is it a luxury home? Is it a spa? We're talking with different business owners and tenants. We're trying to figure out what this historic recording studio is going to be in its next life. We're definitely all about preserving history. A lot of folks tear down properties like this. We want to figure out a way to keep it. This property is actually currently for sale. $2.3 million, I think, is our asking price. We're focused on our projects on 18th Avenue. We're focused on this one too. We wanted to give you a tour today, hoping that you guys can help us figure out what this property is going to be in its next life. We got to get the vibe just right because we're in the mastering room, the money-making magic end of this recording studio. The mastering room, or audio mastering room, this is where your big mixing soundboard is, and it was sitting right behind me, right here. If you can imagine, I mean, you got Owen Bradley, maybe it's Conway Twitty, all of his different artists. The vocal booth is right back there, all of the knobs and the switches. This room is padded walls. It's built out of CMU and cinder block. Every single aspect of this room is padded. There's electrical running through. And then if you can check this out down here, all concrete floors. This whole building would be so gorgeous with all of this floor torn up, and you could come through, diamond grind all of this concrete, and it would be absolutely gorgeous. Let me talk to you about the first time I laid my eyes on 27 Music Square East. This is back in 2020, 2021, and nobody wanted any office space. Things were going pretty cheap. I feel like we got it at a pretty good price. We paid $1.85 million, I think is what we paid for it. And the first time I saw this building, I absolutely fell in love with it. I love historic buildings. I love Nashville. I love all the stories, but when I laid eyes on 27 Music Square East, the first thing that I noticed, 2 stories of glass right at the front door. When you're coming up, you got Warner over here to your right, RCA Studio B's back behind the building. You're walking up, 2 stories of glass, and I'm thinking, I mean, all the natural light, this is incredible. You open up the double glass front doors, you look to your left, and the first thing that you see is this floating black spine staircase with wood tread on it, and it's incredible. Brick back behind it, absolutely gorgeous. Then when you're inside the lobby and the atrium space, the double height space, you take a look to your right, and that's when you start to see where all the magic used to happen. It's the mastering room, it's the back end, the money making side of that building. It's the recording studio. and you can visualize, because everything is still the way that it was when Owen Bradley had it. There's all concrete floors in the whole studio. A few of the things that have changed is there's like a vinyl like plank flooring over it. It looks terrible, but you got concrete floors. This is good bones. Speaking of good bones, it's all CMU or cinder block. That's the way the whole thing's built. It's like a bomb shelter. So we bought 27 Music Square East from Dell and Dane Bryant. These guys are Music Row legends in their own right. And if you've watched any other videos on this channel, you definitely have heard Dane Bryant's name before. At the Senator's house, 800 18th Avenue South, when we were doing demo, we knocked down a wall and there was CMU back behind the wall and Dane's name and his phone number written on the wall. And so you probably saw that video. Dell was the president of BMI back in the day, and Dane was Olivia Newton John's music director, and he had a music production company. Which is the cool thing about being in Nashville, is like doing business with people like this. Their parents wrote Rocky Top. I mean, these guys they're heavy hitters, and they used to own a ton of stuff on Music Row. So it's super cool to have bought it from them. Just another cool Nashville story. So many times we have people come into Nashville and many cities across the world, but tearing down historic buildings. This one's special. I would love to see it stay and be preserved, but I would love some ideas on what you guys think it could be. Off the top of my head, it could be a high-end cocktail bar. It could be a yoga studio. It could be a restaurant. It could be a luxury house. And it could be, who knows, it could be a short-term rental. Probably a pretty high-end one, but I think that would be pretty cool. Very authentic Nashville experience, if you ask me. But I would love to know, what are your thoughts? We want to preserve it. What could this be? What's the best idea that you can come up with? So outside of the fact that 27 Music Square East is absolutely riddled with history, the people that built it, the people that we bought it from, the companies that have used it, all of the magic that's been created inside of the studio. You know what one of my favorite things is in the studio? Upstairs, there is this old refrigerator. It's got the blue inside on it. It's got the egg carton built into it. I know this sounds crazy, but this is the coolest freaking refrigerator that I've ever seen in my life. Thank you guys for joining us for the tour at 27 Music Square East. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed all the stories and the history, who built it, the different companies that have occupied it, all the history that comes along with Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee. Always remember, good vibes only. Don't forget, if you've got any great ideas of what you think this property should be, drop a comment, send me a message. I would love to know what you think. Again, thank you so much for watching today.